morning. I am so excited to be with you today to celebrate Earth Day in Green Valley. This is a tradition that we've had at Iron Horse for, well, going back to 2007.
So Joy, hang on 1 second. We're gonna let everybody that wants to get in. I see there's 75 people already in and there's gonna be a lot more. So let's give it a couple of minutes for everybody to join us. Because this looks like—
Well, shoot, I want to, so while we're waiting, I mean, heck, you know, let's have a toast while we're waiting. I mean, you snooze, you lose.
I totally, absolutely 100% agree. So we're going to open
your wine.
I think
so. Everybody, cheers to.
We're all celebrating with the Ocean's Reserve. There's a good shot of the bottle. That's what we're opening today. Reserve. So I'm going to give that to my trusty wife, who's opened countless numbers of bubbly bottles. Okay, yeah, there we go. We're up to 8 people.
Oh wait, you want to wait till you get your glass?
Yeah, they're still
I'm
flowing
thirsty,
in, so
Jeff. Come on.
Yeah, I know. They're still flowing in. We're up to about 85. They're coming in pretty quickly, so that's good. Everybody can adjust their speakers, and we can get ready for this. And then we'll get rolling here.
I feel like we're, you know, like it's a launch, you know, we have a countdown.
There we go. We got a happy sound.
Oh, that did sound nice. You know, everybody who's already on, go ahead, sneak a sip. We don't have to have a formal, sneak a sip. And then when they're ready, we'll toast.
Of course, my wife knows exactly how to pour this, so she's got the bubble. Did you know that if you pour a little bit in the glass, maybe people don't know this, let the bubbles die down, then you can continue pouring and you don't get nearly as many bubbles?
Well, you get the same number of bubbles, but it doesn't foam up.
It doesn't foam up, right, exactly.
So it's, you know, you just need, it's hard, but in pouring sparkling wine, you really need to, you need patience. You want to pour it slowly. It does help to tip the glass. Mm-hmm. And yes, to pour a little bit and then a little bit more. Now, one controversy is I don't like to fill the glass because I want it to stay cold and retain the bubbles. So, you know, I just pour to a certain level and drink that and then replenish. Some people feel otherwise. They feel that they're not getting their full share if it isn't to the brim, but
okay.
I prefer to pour. That's a perfect pour.
So we stabilized it at about 85 people, and I think we're ready to go. Are you ready for a toast?
All right. Well, let's start with our toast. Happy Sunday, everybody! Thank you so much for Sunday brunch at Iron Horse virtually. I really appreciate it, but this is a very special one, and that is that we are celebrating Earth Day. Wednesday, April 22nd is actual Earth Day, and it is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. So it's very momentous. And we at Iron Horse have had some of our greatest experiences have been with Earth Day celebrations here at the winery. And it started in 2007. Our speakers have been unbelievable. They've included Jerry Brown, Sandra Day O'Connor, and the key to the events has been the caliber of the speakers. And frankly, we have not had one in 3 years. And the reason why today is so incredibly special is that we have the most fantastic keynote speaker, someone I admire so greatly, Earle. And she is just legendary, and I can't wait for you to meet her. We are toasting with our Ocean Reserve sparkling wine, which is a partnership with National Geographic. The current vintage is 2016, and it is a Blanc de Blanc, 100% Chardonnay, and is aged 3+ years on the yeast. This is our 12th, I think our 12th vintage of making Ocean Reserve. $4 a bottle goes to National Geographic's Ocean Initiative. And the first vintage was created in conjunction with the then National Geographic explorer, Chef Barton Seaver. And in just a second, we're going to show you a video from our archives of how the cuvee came about, how it was made. And it's really interesting because Barton in the video talks about, you know what terroir is, and he talks about merroir, which is a whole new way of thinking about wine. The reason we chose the ocean to be the focus is that Iron Horse lies 13 miles as the drone flies from the Pacific, and the ocean is the engine of our microclimate. It creates the fog that allows us to make sparkling wine on this level of finesse. And so the health of the ocean is just absolutely essential. And as you'll hear from my wonderful friend Sylvia Earle, you can't have green without blue. So Jeff, if you could run the video of Barton, I think that'll be just tremendous.
I will definitely do that. It's queuing up here in just a second. While I'm waiting for it to queue, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Jeff Stevenson. Joy and I actually met, oh my God, virtually. I'm going to tell you a little story. Virtually about 1985, my mom gave me this book, Joy. You can see it. Cultivated Life, A Year in California Vineyard by Joyce Earle.
The best part, Jeff, sorry to interrupt you, but the best part of seeing that cover is that it's got wine stains on it.
Oh God, yeah, and it's extremely well used. And the inscription that my mom wrote when she gave it to me was, "Honey," which is she's writing to my dad, "one day this may be us." And then she gave, yeah, I know this, "One day this may be us." And she gave me this book, and I read it when I was in college, and I was taking a wine tasting class, and it inspired me so much. Here I am now in the wine business, and Joy and I met about 10 years ago. We were both winemakers. I was making Pinot in Sonoma County here, and I was one of the original founding members of the Petaluma Gap, and so we became friendly, and my company would sell her wine from time to time, and that's how we got introduced. So we're also a technology organization, which is why I can host this platform and make it available to everybody here. And with that introduction, I am going to play this video from National Geographic. Give me just one moment, I will cue it up. Okay, here we go.
Hi, I'm Barton Seaver, chef and National Geographic Fellow, and this is Cookwise. In winemaking, the concept of terroir, of how the earth, the soil, the air, and the sunshine add to the quality characteristics of each individual wine is very important. We're here in the Iron Horse Vineyards discussing the idea of merroir, of how the oceans impact grape growing and wine.
One of the unique qualities of Iron Horse in our particular growing area, Green Valley, is the fog. We're defined by the fog and the proximity to the ocean, the coolness. Being 13 miles as the crow flies to the Pacific is directly related to both the flavor and the quality of our wines.
These vines look incredibly healthy. I never understood until I really started studying wines that all grapes start out green like this, and all the juice in grapes is all white.
It's only from the skins that you get the color, obviously, for red wines and the flavor for red wines.
So if I were to eat one of these right now, may I?
I wouldn't recommend it. It's really, really, really
I'll take your advice on that.
It's the worst lemon you've ever been into. Now that is the range of mountains that separates us from Napa Valley. This is the most sought-after land right now in California for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. It's a combination of the marine influence, that fog coming in, that fog leaving. Very cold nights, warm, not hot days, You want that fog, especially during harvest, because what that does is lengthens those nighttime temperatures into the day. And of course, this once used to be an old inland sea, so our soils in this area are very sea-like. It's a sandy loam soil, very little water holding capacity, very low vigor, the perfect thing that you want for a grapevine, especially grapevines like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
So what do we have in front of us here?
That's where our sparkling wines go in those tirage bins to bottle ferment. So when you walk in that building down there, it's like the final scene in the first Indiana Jones movie. All you see is these wooden bins, and you kind of go, where's the Ark?
There's treasure in here.
There's treasure in here. Actually, there is treasure in there. We have about 120 pounds per square inch of pressure.
This is cool.
Yes!
I was waiting for broken glass,
I know.
fireworks, and...
So are you ready to start the tasting?
Yeah, let's do it.
Each one of these bottles is actually the same wine, but with one last little difference. Each one of these wines has a slightly different dosage added to it. It's a special syrup that we make here, and we make several of them, and so we have various amounts of those syrups in each one of these bottles.
To me, food and wine are completely inseparable. The purpose of each other is to balance them out. Just tasting through this, I mean, getting almost a hint of cinnamon on this, which I love, like a nice autumnal mussel dish with stewed tomatoes with a little bit of cinnamon and garlic in there, and the mussels thrown in, and some white wine.
That is phase 2 of this that I'm
already working on. I mean, as soon as this is done, the recipes are to follow. My favorite, and I think what represents the ocean best, and what pairs best with seafood, I think maybe something in the middle, between 3 and 4, a blend of these two would be really killer.
There is so much going on in this class. There is history, geography, geology, chemistry, art, the impact of the ocean.
Man, this is super cool.
I am so honored to propose the first toast with the brand newly created Ocean Reserve. This is truly an honor. Cheers.
Cheers. To the oceans.
To the ocean.
To the ocean, yeah.
The ocean.
For recipes, tips, techniques, links, seafood stories, and more, visit ocean.nationalgeographic.com/cookwise. For more about the Ocean Reserve Cuvée and to find out what you can do to help protect the ocean, visit iamtheocean.org. And remember, delicious is the new environmentalism, so cook wise.
Well, oh my gosh, can you see the difference? That's what 10 years will do. You know, there's that challenge on Facebook, show what you look like, 10 years and today. So there you have it. But that was fun to pull out of the archives. It's always fun to taste sparkling wines, well, any wines with the chef, because they automatically think in terms of food pairings. And the key is to realize that it's the finishing element in the wine. It's the dosage, the last thing that goes in the bottle before the cork, that gives the specialness, the distinctiveness of each of our different cuvées. And it's like seasoning and cooking. If you add all Chardonnay in your dosage, it's going to be leaner, more lemony. If you add all Pinot Noir in your dosage, it's going to be richer, rounder, spicier. There's no recipe for creating the dosage. Every vintage, you want to think outside the box, and the whole idea is to make the best wines we possibly can. So although Ocean Reserve is always our Blanc de Blanc, we dedicated our Blanc de Blanc production to making this special cuvée. It is never the same, number one, because you have vintage variation, but also, most importantly, Iron Horse is a work in progress. Well, actually, a friend of mine told me, don't tell people it's a work in progress, it's a dream in progress. And that is really true. But our idea is to continue to make better and better and better wines. Our growth is in terms of quality. So speaking of quality, one of the most quality people I have ever had the honor to meet, truly one of my heroes, sheroes, is Sylvia Earle. She is a legendary oceanographer. She is a National Geographic explorer. She bears an unbelievable resemblance to Earle. She is known as her deepness. I bow to that, her deepness, for the depth and number of hours that she has spent submerged. She was one of Time Magazine's first Planet Heroes. She has a Netflix documentary you can watch, which is really great. And she founded Mission Blue, which I hope you will all Google and take a look at, and make a wonderful contribution to the extraordinary work that she does to protect our precious ocean. So with that, I have the honor of bringing you Sylvia Earle.
Thank you, Joy. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. It's not quite Earth Day, but really every day is Earth Day. And look at that image. Earth is mostly blue. And as Joy points out, without the ocean, there is no habitable planet. We need the ocean. Now the ocean needs us to listen up, take care of the ocean as if your life depends on it, because it does. You know, Barton Seaver is a good friend, and we've had many conversations about his love of fine dining and his commitment to making food delicious and pairing delicious food with great wines. And I apologize, I have consumed all of my fine ocean sterling special edition wine, so I salute you with a cup of coffee this morning.
Well, we'll have to fix that, Sylvia.
Anytime. But Barton is well known for his ways of looking at life in the ocean on a plate. I look at life in the ocean as in the ocean. And my favorite way to consume a great white wine is with veggies. Oh my goodness. And there's no reason why veggies can't be just delicious. And I've had these many conversations with Barton that my favorite fish is a live one out there in the ocean. But yes, people do consume fish, but we need to be smarter about what we eat and how we treat the natural world overall, and to realize that creatures in the sea, those little fish that swim around, they're like birds in the air. They're wildlife too. And knowing how it's taken us a long while to appreciate how important birds are to our lives. Of course, we eat birds. We have Kentucky fried birds. we have Christmas goose and Thanksgiving turkey, but most of the birds that we consume, we have cultivated, we raise them. Most of what we take from that we call generically seafood, they're wild creatures. We need to think differently about how much we can take from the ocean. So that's part of my message for today, to respect ocean life as wildlife. I would like to get rid of that name seafood, because it just conveys the impression that whatever is out there in the ocean is there for us to consume. And yeah, we can take some, but not at the level that we are now. We're seeing a decline of, oh goodness, tunas, swordfish, sharks, you name it. From where they were when I was a kid to where they are today, their numbers have really plummeted. So when we think about the ocean, think about life in the ocean as part of what keeps us alive. And here we are, early in the 21st century, and we're armed with knowledge that did not exist, could not exist until right about now. When you think that image that is behind me, the image that was behind Joy, that's half a century ago. That Earthrise image was taken on Christmas Eve in 1968 by a young astronaut, Bill Anders, who lives now in Washington State. I visited with him about 2 years ago, and he said that that image of Earth that we all know and love as Earthrise is not his favorite one. It's that view of Earth where you see the blue face of the Pacific, where really most of the world looks blue. What the image behind me is a nice balance of blue and green, but if you turn it just a little bit to see the blue face of the Pacific that creates the fog that wafts over Sterling Vineyard, the Iron Horse Vineyard, well, you know, that really puts things in perspective. We're in the minority, we terrestrial creatures. Most of life on Earth is out there in the sea. Here's the other thing. We, too, are sea creatures. This is not just about coral reefs and kelp forests and sharks and whales and things. Our future really depends on taking care of the blue part of the planet. I think throughout all of human history, right up through to the present time, most people take the ocean for granted. They've treated the ocean as if it's a good place to dispose of things that we don't want close to where we live. And we've taken out of the ocean so much that we thought there was no limit to what we could put in or take out. But now we know. We also know that the ocean is the primary factor driving climate and weather. So now in this time of climate change, when we see many things that are so important to everything we care about at risk, our health, our prosperity, our security, we have to take care of the natural systems that make our existence possible. So whether it's on the land with national parks and reserves, protected areas, even in your own backyard, what you can do to keep a healthy system. You know, look at the wild plants, the wildflowers. Have a garden of your own. Oh, Joy Sterling, you have a great garden of your own where you've got these amazing, healthy vines that are producing something really delicious and really, really an important part of human culture. But everybody can do something that helps restore health to the planet. My mother and my father were great tree planters, but they also had a garden of their own. And they respected the wild things and did not have a lawn, actually. They had a robust kind of raucous place where wildflowers and native trees were at home. And so were the little frogs and the birds and the insects that maintain the integrity of Earth as a habitable place for us. So what's my message for you today? Basically, it's to think about the upside of what we are now going through in terms of this pandemic. It's got everybody's attention, and it should. We're vulnerable, we humans, to the laws of nature. We need to respect the basic character of what sets Earth apart in a universe that's not very friendly to the likes of us. We have a miracle, Earth, that has fostered the existence of life for at least 4 billion years. We have a planet that works in our favor right now. But because of what we're doing to the air, to the water, to the fabric of life on the land and in the sea, not respecting the limits, we have gotten ourselves into a position right now where we are vulnerable. Earth life will go on one way or the other, with us or without us. Our job, armed with knowledge that did not and could not exist before the present time. We are so lucky. We are so fortunate to have come along with that Earth view from space, with knowledge about life in the deep sea, about how things connect. We now know what our predecessors could not know about the carbon cycle, about the generation of oxygen, the capturing of carbon, about the need to respect nature, to give back to nature that has given us everything, especially our existence. Oh, we now have more than 7 billion minds on the planet. We need to connect those minds in ways that are addressing the importance of respecting and caring for the natural world on the land. The national parks, everybody benefits from those places that protect the old growth forests and places that are being restored to put back some of what's been lost. We need to do the same thing in the ocean. That's what we're doing with Mission Blue, with Hope Spots, identifying around the world places of critical importance: coral reefs, kelp forests, the deep sea, the high seas, half the world beyond national jurisdiction, enlisting champions. We have about 130 places now with champions locally and communities around the world who are celebrating not just the land, but celebrating not just the ocean, but celebrating nature. How we, everyone, individuals, communities, countries, the whole world can join together, knowing that if we protect the natural systems, that protects global health, the health of the planet, which in turn keeps us healthy. Healthy systems in the land and in the sea means we are less vulnerable to the kinds of things that we're now worried about. The pandemic. This is not the only one that the world has experienced, that humans have experienced. It's not going to be the last one either. The more we can do to restore and protect the natural systems, expand those national parks, do what you can in your own backyard, and do what you can to support those organizations that are protecting nature. This is something everybody can do, should do, must do. And Joy Sterling, I salute you and Iron Horse Vineyard for what you are doing to create a healthy place there in where I am in California. I'm sitting here in Oakland, looking out on the world and thanking all of you who are doing what you can individually, what all of us can collectively, to take where we are to get to a better place. So Earth Day next year, Earth Day 2050, Earth Day 500 years from now, 5,000 years from now. We'll look back at this time and people, let's hope that there are healthy populations of humans within the natural systems that we have come to respect and care for, as if our lives depend on them, because of course they do. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sylvia. That was just such a beautiful talk, and you give us so much hope. Well, first of all, I should have anticipated that when Barton Seaver mentioned mussels, that you would just sort of flip out and
pushback, but mussels.
That's fine. That's fine. Everybody agrees. Eat more vegetables.
We actually have some questions from the audience if you'd like to field some questions. Sure. This is Jen Ball. Jen, where are you from?
I'm from Ferndale, Michigan, outside of Detroit.
All right. What's your question for Sylvia?
Sylvia, thanks. That was very inspiring. And thanks for everything you've done. I know there's a lot as individuals we can do to help protect the oceans, but from your perspective, is there a single most important thing as an individual that we can do?
Absolutely. Look in the mirror. Do that. Ask, what are you good at? What do you like? What are you capable of that makes you special? Everyone has Mr. Rogers used to say to every child, you're special. You're different from everybody else. Use your power. And to realize that today we all have superpowers of understanding what could not be known when Mr. Rogers was a kid, when I was a kid. We now can see the world in ways that we couldn't see before. We're connected in ways that were not possible before. So whatever it is that you are good at, Joy is really great at making wonderful wines, using her talent and her voice, her special thing, to make the world a better place. So whether I have a daughter who sings, she uses her voice in that way. Using her power to wrangle engineers with deep ocean exploration and research, DOER marine operations. Kids can tell adults, look, we need a world that works better than today's world. And the influence that kids have on the rest of the world is so important. But kids are often the ones who start things, like the kid in Texas who started picking up trash on the beach. Nobody asked her to do it, but she just did it. Think about what you really have within your capability to start something or to work with others who are doing what you're attracted to. We all have a chance right now to give back to the natural world, to take our backyards, to work with others to have national protected areas. So I'm saying, use your power, use your superpower, go for it.
You have another question there, Jeff?
But look, I love that picture of you, Joy, surrounded by grapes. Isn't that a beautiful image? Don't you want to just dive in?
Yeah, well, you talked about carbon sequestration. One of the great things about growing anything, but grapes, is that we very proudly feel that we're on the front lines of being able to store carbon in the soil by growing something. So anytime, every plant, every tree, like your parents, Sylvia, planting trees, all of that really helps. And I also really like what Barton said, is that how you eat, you have complete control over what you eat. So, but I think, Jeff, you have another question? Okay, go ahead.
Speak.
Hey, you're on.
Oh
no.
Hang on. I'm asking her to start her microphone. There we go. She should be able to talk now.
Oh, NASA.
Hello.
Gotcha.
Okay, NASA, go.
Hi, Sylvia. What a great honor it is to speak to you. You're a true inspiration. So thank you. Firstly, what I would like to say is, if you could have all the world leaders in one room, what would you say to them now to inspire them to really, really promote conservation for our oceans and to protect them more than what they're doing now?
Look, it should be a headline. And sometimes I do have a chance to speak with world leaders. I went to Davos this past year, and whatever it is, the headline is, the highest priority is you have to keep the planet safe. You have to look at what sets Earth apart from every other place in the universe, to recognize that we are vulnerable in ways that we couldn't understand at any time prior to the present time with the same clarity that is now in front of us. the climate is changing because of our actions. That's the bad news. The good news is we can see it. We know the cause. We look in the mirror. We're the cause. We also are the solution. We know what to do. We just have to do it. And to take seriously, that is the priority. Everything else follows, taking care of the natural world. Tim Worth said it in just a sentence: the economy is a wholly owned subsidiary of the environment. You know, we can't have an economy if the world isn't safe. We're seeing that right now with a pandemic. We're all vulnerable to the laws of nature. So listen up, you mighty world leaders. Use your mighty powers to invest in taking care of the air, the water, the fabric of life that makes Earth habitable, not just hospitable, but habitable. We have to have a place in the universe blessed with oxygen, blessed with a water cycle, blessed with the chemistry that keeps us safe. And we haven't understood our power to destroy at the level that we have exerted during the whole history of humankind. This is the first time, and I'm not alone. I'm just saying what I listen, I hear scientists, observers, witnesses, people, poets, artists, human beings around the world saying, look, the world is changing, the systems are changing. Look around from the world was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Well, the world has always changed, but never in ways that threaten our future so much as has happened in my lifetime, in the history of Earth Day, 50 years. The last half century has been critical in two ways. We've learned more, great, we now know. We've lost more, not so great, except that we can see it, we can feel it, we can breathe it, we can understand it. It's the best chance we'll ever have. So in celebrating this Earth Day, world leaders, listen up. Never before has there been a better time to use the power that we now have, that you have as leaders, to energize this movement, to give back. So that's my message. You know, take care of the world.
Okay, we have another great question here. Can you tell us a funny ocean exploration story? That comes from Melanie Natoli.
Oh my goodness, let's see. A funny exploration story. Well, you mean like, never mind.
Like funny, ha-ha. Yeah, anything funny you got.
Well, I'll go back 50 years. I was, this is the 50th anniversary of my having an opportunity to live underwater for 2 weeks. So I was, as a scientist, I applied to be an aquanaut, to live underwater and conduct scientific, it was as a scientist to, you know, there are no women astronauts 50 years ago. And the idea that women should be aquanauts living underwater was considered to be a far out idea to some. But fortunately, the head of the program, James Miller, who had to choose, or had the say over who should become an aquanaut or not, there were only 50 opportunities in 1970 to go live underwater for 2 weeks or so. And he said, well, half the fish are female. I guess we could put up with a few women. So they did select 5 of us to spend 2 weeks living underwater. But the idea was that I originally applied to go with some of my fellow scientists who happened to be men. But the idea of men and women living together underwater, this is before there were women astronauts up in the sky. But the thought was there could be hanky-panky on the reef. I mean, come on. So they had a women's team. I got to be the leader of the team, but it didn't stop there. They started calling, of course, we thought we were like the guys, we were aquanauts, but no, we were the aqua babes, we were the aqua chicks. The title of it, the worst was we were the aqua naughties. I mean, like, anyway, we survived, and so did the program, in spite of the fact that there were some aqua babes involved.
That is great.
That's funny. I have a question, Jeff.
Shoot.
Thank you. I have been reading, Sylvia, that the pandemic, amazingly, because of the lack of, because of the shelter in place, that the air over Los Angeles is gorgeous and pristine for the first time ever. There are dolphins swimming in the canals of Venice. The animals in the national parks are literally frolicking unhindered by visitors. Is there any evidence that COVID-19 has been a benefit, quote unquote, to the ocean?
To the world, in a way that it causes us, I hope it causes us to say, oh, I get it. Now I can see. Some people have been skeptics about how humans are impacting the natural world. That, oh, you know, the air has always been this way. Or they look at the ocean and think that it's kind of always been trashy, right? No. You take humans out of the equation for even diminish our impact a little bit, you can see the difference. And especially you point out the air. And in the canals of Venice, it's not just that animals are coming and enjoying the quality of water, but you can actually see the bottom of the canals, and then the water's clear. So it should just be a recognition that we are the cause of some of the problems that we worry about, but we're also the solution. We shouldn't go back. We should think, okay, let's treat nature with greater respect now that we know. We can see cause, effect. And we should learn from this. We should be better. We should emerge from this crisis armed with a commitment to take care, to make better care of the systems that keep us alive. We know what to do. We just have to do it. So, right on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sylvia. This has just been a fantastic opportunity for all of us. We really appreciate your insights, everything that you've done, everything that you do, the Hope Spots. We want to support you in every way that we can, both as individuals and through furthering your work. There is a wonderful Netflix documentary called Mission Blue that I highly recommend. I mean, you've got nothing else to do. You're at home. Watch it. It's great. And it stars Sylvia Earle, who is, as I said, one of my heroes. And you know, I don't know if this is politically correct or not, but you are a babe. I'm sorry.
Hey, what's not to like about that?
So thank you so much. And
Joy, you're a Hope Spot. Thank you.
I say joy is a force of nature, and cheers to joy. And Sylvia, marvelous. Appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We couldn't get to quite all the questions today because we want to try and keep these to about 45 minutes. I'll move it along at this point. I had planned for a video that we shot at Iron Horse. One of my employees and I arranged this whole video shoot, and we created a video that it actually is extraordinary. I mean, I got shivers on my hairs on my arms and the back of my neck when I watched this video. I'm going to tease you with the introduction to this video, and then I'm going to stop it as soon as we get to the new winemaker. Joy, we have a new winemaker. Why don't you tell everybody how we found the new winemaker, And I'm going to tease the video all the way up to when he starts talking, and then I'm going to stop it. And there's another 10 minutes of this video, and there's a teaser at the end of that for what's coming the week after that, because we're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. This is Brunch with Joy. So Joy, tell us about your new winemaker.
Well, his name is Sylvis Earle. We are in, you know, with wine, you change vintages, and it's a bittersweet moment. When you move from one vintage to the next because you've drunk up all of one vintage and then you get to move on to the next vintage. It's just one of those things. And what we try to do is to make wines that you never yearn for the previous vintage. You're always excited about the one ahead. So our longtime winemaker, David Monksgaard, is, I don't know why, but he is retiring. I just think it's the most ridiculous thing, but he's doing it. And this gave us the opportunity to bring in a new person. His name is Sylvis Earle. He is brilliant. He's, I think he's 35 years old. He brings fresh eyes to everything we do, which is,
Is he French?
He is French,
Yes.
but they moved to, his family moved to America, I think when he was just a very little boy. And some of you may know his family's wines. His family makes Gruet wines in New Mexico, which is pretty amazing. And they're very highly acclaimed wines. And I have to admit that very often I would read articles in the New York Times about sparkling wines, and Gruet would get mentioned and Iron Horse would not, would be like, what, are you kidding me? So, and I've always thought, oh my gosh, so he did such a spectacular job in New Mexico, and now I can only imagine how phenomenal this will be. So Sylvis joined us in March, believe it or not, and he really is fantastic. So we're very, very excited to have him here.
Awesome. So I've got the producer of the video here actually with us as a guest today. His name is Julio Martinez, and I'm going to
Julio, you're a genius. I love the rough cut.
Julio, start your video. You're unmuted. You can speak if you can't start your video.
Okay, I'm going to start my video now. There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Hello, world.
Hello, world. Birthday. Yay.
Well, first of all, I have to say, your speaker, oh my God,
look at that embrace.
she is amazing. Amazing. I got inspired, definitely.
Here we go. So this is our videographer. We are going to tease. We're only going to tease this the introduction. You got to come back next Sunday to see the rest of this. We've got some more surprises here. We're going to keep this going, but here's an introduction to Joy's new winemaker. And when I stop it, we'll take more questions. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right thing. There we go. Okay, good.
C'est si bon de partir n'importe où, bras dessus, bras dessous, en chantant des chansons. C'est si bon de se dire des mots doux, des petits rien du tout, mais qui en disent long. En voyant notre mine ravie,
mais oui,
les passants dans la rue nous envient. C'est si bon de guetter dans ses yeux cet espoir merveilleux qui me donne le frisson. C'est si bon, ces petites sensations, ça vaut mieux qu'un million. Tellement, tellement c'est bon.
Welcome to Iron Horse Vineyards. My name is Sylvan Himer. I'm the new wine.
That's all you're gonna get.
Oh, you tease.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm sorry about that. I'm the director. I'm your master of ceremonies. I am choosing to stop it right there. And there is another 9-10 minutes of this video. We walk through the entire process of where these guys are in their winemaking right now, what's going on in the vineyards, what's happening in the bottling cellar, how the process of sparkling wine is made. I think when I sent my videographer Julio to their facility, I was thinking in the back of my mind, this is just the most incredible experience if you've never seen this before. And when he came back, he's like, oh my God, Jeff, I had no idea about the complexity and how cool this was. I mean, some of the technology and the old technology and the new technology is extraordinary. So anyway, I'm teasing this up. And by the way, Joy, I want to finish here with this picture, which I'm going to share right now. And I want you to tell the story of this picture and what, so I read her book, as I said, in the 1980s. And one of the most incredible stories that I read was about this road with these palm trees that were probably an awful lot shorter than this. Joy, can you tell us that story?
Yes. So first of all, that is called Palm Olive Drive. And my brother named it that for the alternating palm and olive trees. So that's number one. And we've been here now since 1976. And when my father decided on the quote unquote architecture of the winery, he felt that its barn style winery buildings was plenty of architecture, but in the trees, that is where the monuments would be. So the palm trees were laughable. The first spring, they were shorter than the daffodils, which was really just amazing. And I don't even know how tall they are now, but they are quite stately.
Impressive.
And palm trees are a sign of permanence and establishment and hospitality, which is certainly a lot of what we're about at Iron Horse. Thank you, everybody, for spending Sunday morning with us. Sylvia, thank you so much. I'm going to be walking on air the whole rest of the month. Thank you. I really, or I should say walking on water or walking underwater. I don't know. But I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I thank everybody for being here. I'm sorry we didn't get to all the questions. Time just flies.
It does. Okay. Well, so we've teed this up for next week, right? And
yes.
there's we have actually we've got a couple of you folks may or may not know that, and this is what impressed me the most always about Iron Horse, that Iron Horse has been served in every presidential administration since the Reagan-Gorbachev Russian summit. And as Joy would always say, we can credit Joy and her family for bringing down or ending the Cold War, as she likes to say. So there are a number of amazing menus and stories that are going to continue in this series that we're going to do for the next several weeks as everybody is sheltered in place. So we want to invite you to come back on Sundays at 10 a.m. We're going to produce this thing and keep going with this, with the professional videos and all the guest speakers and everything. I want to say thank you to Sylvia. Joy, you got some final words to say?
Yes. Happy Earth Day. And as Sylvia said, every day is Earth Day. So we celebrate, we toast Mother Nature, and every day we do our very, very best. So cheers. Thank you.
There we go. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Okay.